In this video, we're going to continue with our example from Appendix A, example A1, starts on page 320 of Elliott and Woodward, and this time we're going to look at the table on page 323 and we're going to actually enter the data. In the previous video, we created the variables. Now we're going to enter the data. So now, as you can see, each variable is a column. So ID, age, female, test date, and score are columns, and each row is going to represent one person's data. Note how with variable, a row is a variable in variable view, but in data view, a variable is a column. So it just switches to make it easier. So let's go ahead and we're just going to type in that data just like we would do for Excel in an Excel spreadsheet. And you can do it in any order you want. You can go across where client ID 10001 is age 23, female code is 1, test date is 10/22/2015, and the score is 98.00. Or you could just go down. We can just type in our IDs going down. Now, this is because we're copying it from a table. If you're going to be entering data manually, normally you would be looking at a survey that somebody filled out and you wouldn't do it this way. But because we're just copying data, we can do it like this. If you're actually running a paper survey, which isn't done very much anymore, but if you were, you would be entering it across one person's data at a time. But in the interests of time here, we're just going to type it in quickly this way, where we're just going down the column and we're just typing in just like we would in an Excel file. So the data view of an SPSS dataset file is very much like an Excel file. And we're going to go through our different types of variables, which are going to make a lot more sense in a minute here, so that we can see the difference between categorical and continuous. So here, let's see, 10/23. So everyone did their test on a different day. 11/26. And I'm not going to be too upset if I'm not right on the money. Whoops, but it needs to be a date. It'll get mad at you if you don't type it in proper date format. Okay, and then our test scores are here: 78.00, 90, 89, 82, 75, 94, 89, and 99. Okay, so now don't forget to save. So there's our disk. It's bright blue. That means there's new data that hasn't been saved. So we just click on it. We've already saved it once, so we don't have to give it a file name again. We could also save by clicking on File and Save. See how that's grayed out? We don't have any new data. If we deleted this data and then we typed it in again, oh, now we have new data. So now we could go to File, Save, and save it, or we can click on the floppy disk, for those of you that remember floppy disks. Okay, so now we're going to see the difference between categorical and continuous variables. So even though female, yes or no, has numbers, it's a categorical variable because 0 equals not female and 1 equals female. If we want to see that, we can go to View, Value Labels, and we can see the labels. Yes, no, yes, no. That's categorical. There's no order to this. Mean does not have meaning. But with age and score, those variables are what we call continuous variables. Mean has meaning. It's a range of scores. If we run a frequency on continuous variables, also called interval or ratio variables, remember it's all about vocabulary, let's run some statistics. Mean has meaning when we talk about a continuous variable. So let's see what we get here. So here we've run descriptive statistics. We've got a mean age on January 1st, 2015 of 29. Our minimum and maximum are 19 to 43 years old. Our mean test score is 88.2. Our minimum and maximum is 75, a low score of 75 to a high score of 99. So when a variable is continuous, also referred to as interval or ratio, the mean score has meaning. When a variable is categorical, mean does not have meaning. So here let's run frequencies of gender, of patient is female, excuse me. So here we don't talk about mean female or not. That doesn't have any meaning, right? There's no minimum, maximum. What we talk about are the frequencies. 55.6% of these patients are female, 44.4% are not. So we just talk about the frequencies or percentages with a categorical variable. There's no ordering to the yes, no. It's a categorical variable. It's a group. So actually looking at our variables will help us better understand our levels of measurement, but we can also see it here. So let's pay attention to what we have here in our measure. So this is a fairly new option in SPSS. So ID is string, we don't care about that. Age, we can choose from nominal, ordinal, or scale. We're going to call it scale. SPSS has somewhat different levels of measurement. So if we want to compute averages, etc., we'll go ahead and use scale. Female is categorical, so we're going to say nominal. It's not ordinal. We don't want to do that. Test date, we're not going to worry about that. Score is also scale. So we would change our measure in SPSS in the variable view because when you run different types of statistics, such as nonparametric, it won't run the ones for ordinal unless you've assigned the variable as ordinal, for example. So we'll see that in other data sets. So in any case, we have now gone through how to create variables, how to type in your labels and your values in the previous video. In this video, we've talked a little bit about the level of measurement, and we've talked about how to enter that data and the importance of saving.